So we're in the middle of a thunderstorm, and so you might hear some rain and thunder in the background. But what better weather than to work on your crocheting than when it's raining? Unless snowing would probably be good, especially if it's a large project. So anywho, we are going to make this scarf. And in order to do this scarf, we need to make 44 of these little squares. And the colors that I am using today for this square are from Premier Yarns, their Basics collection. And the colors are Goldenrod, Orange, and Burgundy. And the burgundy is this outer part. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And I'm sure a lot of you already know how to do a little granny square, but this is for the new people. This is a very beginner friendly project. I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. Okay, we start with a slip knot and we are going to chain 4. We're going to join into our first chain to make a little bitty circle. I want to work over top of that tail. Okay, and we're going to chain 3. And in our circle, make sure you get in the middle of the circle and not into a chain stitch. We're going to do 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. That gives us a total of 4, including that first chain 3. Chain 2, do 4 more double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have 2 clusters of 4. We want to chain 2 and do another cluster of 4 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 3. So chain 2 and do 1 more. So you have a total of 4 clusters of 4 double crochets. That's 2, 3, 4. So we chain 2 and we're going to slip stitch to the top of our chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Make sure we get in there. There we go. And fasten off and cut. Okay. So that is your first color. We're going to move on to our orange. Start with a slip knot. Now when I did these, now in doing these, you can do all of your goldenrod colors first. Get it out of the way. Do it like an assembly line. And then you bring on your orange and do all your orange just like an assembly line. And then your burgundy. But if you're like me, you have to do one, just see how it's going to look. And yeah, so that's what I did. All right, so we want to do a standing double crochet. So you have your slip knot on your hook. You're going to yarn over and hold it in place either with your finger or your thumb, but just hold that in place. And go into the corner Now I'm grabbing on to the end with my finger in the back to hang on to it. So then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2 more. And that gives you a double crochet. It just looks prettier than the chain 3. So we're going to put 1 more double crochet in that corner. And then we're going to put a double crochet in each one of these stitches all the way across. So 1, 2, 3. That was our 4 stitches, the 4 goldenrod stitches. And now we're at the next corner. We want to do 2 more double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets in that same corner space. That's 1 and 2, and then a double crochet in each one of these. Now I started over in this corner so that when I got around to here I could work over top of my tail there. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oops. 2 double crochets into the corner. It's 1, 2, chain 2, 2 more double crochets into the corner, 1 and 2, and I'm still working over top of that tail. 1 double crochet into each of the previous row's stitches, so there should be 4 of those. 2, 3, and 4. 2 into the corner space, 2 doubles. That's 1, 2, chain 2, 2 more doubles. That's 1 and 2. And now we have 4 stitches to go across. So 4 doubles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 into the corner, 1 and 2, chain 2, and fasten on to that first double crochet, that standing one that we did, with a slip stitch, and fasten off. Okay, so you're done with the orange. So you should look like this now. Set it down, get my hands out of the way. Now it's time for the third color, which for me is the burgundy. I just love all these fall colors. And we're going to do a slip knot. We're going to start in a corner, and I'm picking this corner over here so that when I get over here I can work over top of my tail. Go into the corner. I'm going to do a standing single crochet. I'm flipping that tail around so I can work over top of it. Okay. And then 1 single crochet in each one of these stitches from the orange row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, chain 2, and back into the corner. So the corner is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now I'm going to work over top of my tails there. 1 single crochet into each of the double crochets from the previous row. Into the corner with a single, a chain 2, and another single, and you just repeat that all the way around. When you make it back to the starting corner, it's a single crochet and a chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of that standing single crochet and fasten off, and your little square is complete other than working in your ends. But because we crocheted over top of our ends, these we can snip off, being careful not to cut the other our work there. This is and the only end that we have to work in is this last tail. And for that, you just need a yarn needle. And we're gonna work it down. And underneath the same color stitches. And then we'll go back the other direction for a little more security. And then that is finished. So now you should have a big pile of little mini squares, 44 of them, depending on how long you want your scarf to be. Now my little squares are about 3¼ inches because I used the 5mm hook. Now if I would have used a 5.5mm, I probably would have hit the 3.5 inch mark. So originally I wanted to lay them out diagonally, but it would have taken a whole lot more to do what I wanted to do here. And then I thought, it's going to end up being too wide because I'd have to make little triangles to fill in these spaces, and then it just would have been like really, really wide. So, original plan was scrapped, and we're just going to do them traditionally. So you're going to line up your squares, all 44 of them. Making sure they're all right side up. And you can tell the right side up because when you look at it, you can see how these stitches are kind of turned up towards you. So that's the front. That's the back. Front, back. See, there is definitely a difference in how it looks. So you want to make sure they're right side up. And we are going to use the burgundy color. I am limited on space here, so I cannot lay all mine out at once. We're going to use the burgundy color and our yarn needle. And we're going to stitch these babies together. So we're going to use just the basic whip stitch on this. I'm going to make a slip knot to secure it on to my first square that I'm going into, and I'm just going into the corner. And then into the corner of the one across from it. Okay, so I'm connected to those two, and I'm going to take and pinch these up like this so that wrong sides are together so I can see a little better what I'm doing. And I'm going to go through the 2 stitches on the front square and the 2 stitches on the back square. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I wanted to make sure I was lined up right. We're just going to pull it through. I want to work over top of that string, that tail. Okay. Through the 2 front, through the 2 back. Through the 2 front, through the 2 back. Now I'm going to sew my long stretch together first. You could do your short ones if you want to, but I'm doing the long one first. Okay, I'm at that corner. When you open it up, that's how it looks. Okay, so I'm coming out through this top here, so I want to come through here and here. I'm crossing over to make like a little X, which I will reinforce when I come back the other direction, doing this way. But that's just to hold them together a little better for while I'm doing my sewing. Okay. And we're just going to continue on right down the line. And I will meet you back when I am finished with this very long row. Got that part finished. Once you do the very long stitch, you get to go back and sew up all these little short seams. So make sure that you didn't get twisted around, which some of mine kind of were there. So make sure they're not twisted, that they still all end up, you know, right side up. So just start in your corners. And work your way across all these short little rows. Same stitch. Okay, so get all the short little rows stitched together, and we'll meet back to do the border. All right, so we're all stitched together in every direction. We have a whole bunch of ends hanging out, but we're going to put a border around this. So we're going to break out our 5mm hook, We're going to go all the way around the full length and width of the scarf with a single crochet. And you can start anywhere. I'm going to start with a standing single crochet and put one single crochet all the way around. And I'm going to work over top of all these little ends that are just hanging out. Okay, when you get to the seam, you're going to go into that corner, skip the seam itself and go into the next corner, and pick up from there back into the regular stitches. In the corners, when you get to the very ends and those corners, you're going to do one single crochet, chain two, and one single crochet into the same corner space. And you'll do that with all four corners. Okay, so I'm going to work my way all the way around, and then I will meet back up with you. So once you have gone all the way around with your dark, in my case burgundy, we're going to add a decorative stitch, which is totally optional. I was originally going to use like a twisted single crochet, which can substitute for the crab stitch, but I didn't care for how it looked when I tried it, so I took it out. So we're going to do this slip stitch. This is how it looks on the back side, and that's the front side. So make a slip knot. And we're going to start in our corner here. So your working yarn is behind your work, and then you just go into the stitch and pull through like a slip knot. Go in, not a slip knot, slip stitch. So you go in through the side. So we're placing the stitch on the top of our work, not on the edge of our work. So in and slip stitch. Okay, so we're only doing that up the two long sides. So let's get that finished, and then we'll come back and we'll work on the two ends. So once you've finished both sides with that top stitch, slip stitch, embroidery stitch, whatever, it just looks cool. It's time to add the fringe. So what I did is I took my old cell phone and I wrapped the yarn around it several times and cut it. I did all three colors. And we're going to take one strand of each color. Try to make them as even as you can. I mean, we'll trim it off. Fold it in half. And, you know, depending on how thick you want your fringe on the end, every second to third stitch, you want to put your hook. Now I'm using a bigger hook so that the hook is big enough to pull all three strands through. So enter the scarf from the back side with the hook. pull the fringe through, and then pull all 6 strands through the loop that you made. And then you want to tighten them down. And the best way to tighten it down, believe it or not, is one little strand at a time. And it gives it a nice tightened look. Okay, so we'll do that one more time. One strand of each color, or you can make it thicker, you can add more, you can use all one color if you want. Okay, I put my hook through the bottom. Got my yarn strands folded in half, pull it through, and then pull through the loop. And tighten it down. Okay, so by going underneath through the bottom, that puts your little knotty loop thing there all on the same side. So that helps. Makes it look more uniform. So I'm going to continue working on my fringe. And we'll come back. So once you get all your fringe pieces in, I put 11 on each side. And we're going to give it a little haircut. Now I've folded, put both sides together. And I'm going to give it a little trim. Okay, that looks pretty good. I even, my tails from this stitch here, I pulled through. Okay, so let's take a look at this bad boy. So pretty. So, not counting the fringe, this is about 72 inches long and 7 inches wide. So, you can make it longer or shorter. Shorter for a shorter person, longer for a taller person. Totally up to you. And I think that this turned out just gorgeous. For more fun projects like this one, if you click over here, it'll take you directly there.